Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Teen Talk Central. In this week's episode, we're talking about staying connected, friendships, FOMO, and summer distance. If this is something that you unfortunately have to connect with during this time of our lives, then you should definitely continue listening to this week's episode because I'm going to talk about the psychology behind it and then how to deal with it. Hello guys, it's Mia. So let's get started with this week's episode. I'm kind of excited about it, but also obviously it's a topic that it's not the most fun to talk about. So before we kind of start to get into it, I want to talk about the psychology behind it. There's 3 specific concepts that I want to address before we get started. Number 1, attachment theory. It's kind of why some people fear drifting while others might feel relieved during your time apart. If someone has really strong attachment, not attachment issues, but attachment, just as attached to people, they don't like to be apart from their friends for that long. In other words, some people who don't like to be attached to people at the hip and like their own personal space can feel an immense amount of gratitude and relief during this time. Next is social comparison. That's FOMO, and how Instagram and TikTok actually highlights the distorted reality. We talked about this before, but essentially you compare what you see online to what you're doing, and obviously it does not make you feel the best, or you see people that you thought were friends hanging out with other people but you're not invited. That can obviously be really sad. And then it's the reciprocity and investment theory. Reciprocity, yeah. And it's basically what makes friendships last and when it's okay to let them go. I think if they don't reciprocate similar feelings to you or similar attitudes towards you about where you stand in the friendship, then it's time for you to let go. And investment theory is basically seeing who in your life is worth investing your time for. If someone is not, again, giving you what you want, then it's time to uninvest in them. But in turn, if someone that you didn't really think you would be friends with, but they are, showing up for you, texting, asking if you can hang out, maybe for those people, you can invest a little bit more time into. Next, I'm going to talk about why summer changes friendships. So we're going to dive a little bit more deep. So first, it's a less of a routine. We've talked about this before. Essentially, less routine is less structure, and a lot of people thrive off of structure, right? At least for me, I see all my friends at school every single day, 5 days a week, right? And then on weekends we're studying. So you're kind of used to not being forced, but you're used to seeing your friends a lot more often. In comparison to during the summer, now you have basically every single day free, unless you're, doing a job or summer internship or whatever. But you have more time to do what you want, and that can lead to, people being like, hey, want to hang out, but you don't actually, so you don't see them as much anymore. So you specifically have to carve time out of your day to go see them or do something, which in turn can feel like a lot of effort on someone, and then they may end up not wanting to do it because they have to drive, get ready, plan it. Unfortunately, that is the case. And also just travel, camping, camps, or just burnout can create some distance. I think some people they spend, 9 or 10 months together basically every single day, with only very minimal breaks in between, and this is the one chance a year someone can get a big break from everyone, and maybe one person wants to take that as a great opportunity to leave or go away and not speak to anyone. Well, on the other hand, someone might see that as an opportunity to go see everybody and want to hang out with everybody more, and if there's no communication in between there, then it can become very risky. Next, recognizing FOMO versus reality. So why is seeing some groups hang out online feel worse than it actually is? Let me explain. Basically, at least for me, if I've seen people online hang out and they're people I thought were friends, but they weren't actually friends enough to want to hang out with me outside of school, that kind of hurts because it's okay, I knew we weren't besties, obviously, but I thought, we could be close enough to maybe hang out outside of school once or twice during the summer. And then there's the groups that you kind of like never expected to be involved with. And at least for me, I just see it more as like, oh, it's amazing. This is what you're doing. Like, that's great. And I don't really feel anything because I know nothing would have ever, like, there's no chance for you to get involved. I think the ones that hurt the most are the ones where you had a slight chance to be able to be involved, but you weren't invited, or, something like that. And I think that's also a reason why friendships tend to distance themselves during the summer. And I think when your comparison starts to spiral, just think that, like, okay, if they didn't invite me, they're not, like, true friends, and maybe it's time for me to find new friends, unfortunately. But yeah, if you thought these people were really close to you, then yeah, maybe text them, be like, hey, I saw you guys hanging out, like, how was it? Don't put yourself as the victim, because it can end very badly. Put yourself in an understanding situation. Okay, next I want to talk about how to stay genuinely connected. I personally do this as like low pressure check-ins. I send a text like, how's summer been? Or I send them a video on Snapchat, or I don't know, a snap on Snapchat, and be like, hey, this reminded me of you. Very low-key conversations that can kind of just like be like, hey, I'm still thinking about you during the summer, even if we don't always get to see each other. Because like for me, I'm traveling for 7 weeks, and I was gone for a little bit of the first month that I was supposed to be home, right? So it's like I'm still texting friends, being like, and I send them TikToks or Instagram Reels. Like, there's so many ways that you can be like, just like, hey, I remember you, and I hope you remember me as well. Also, like always, quality over quantity, making plans that actually matter over the amount of plans, right? If you just see each other 5 minutes a day, I mean, I'm sure that's fun too, but instead maybe be like, hey, let's go to the city and let's do something, or hey, let's go to the beach and hang out for a whole day. I think that matters a lot more than just like smaller hangouts, because then you can actually like catch up and talk on a longer set of time. And also, like we talked about before, you have to know when it's okay to like naturally drift apart. I think if you realize that someone is getting more distant during the summer, and then it kind of carries on throughout the school year, maybe you realize like, hey, maybe we just like weren't meant to be best friends, and like maybe we're just meant to be classmates or acquaintances or just friends. And you have to let go of guilt when those dynamics shift, because obviously during summer people do change. That 3 months can be transformative for some people. So just like remembering that not everything is your fault. Some people change again, so it's okay to let go when you feel it's right, but you have to go about it in the right way, or else it can kind of end badly. So I have a little challenge for you guys. I want you to reach out to a friend that you've been thinking about without expecting anything back. And I think that is the part that might be the hardest. But basically, allowing yourself to do that shows that, one, you're the bigger person, and two, you are telling them that, hey, even if you don't think about me or whatever, I still think about you and I still want to be friends with you. But you're kind of you're opening up the door for them to see an opportunity, and whether they bite it or not is up to them. So yeah, if you want to figure out a way to reach a friend, I will be posting some stuff on Instagram with like small prompts and stuff on what you can text a friend that you haven't texted in a while. And if you guys enjoyed this week's episode, definitely let me know. Next week, we're going to be talking about creative projects and turning the summer free time into passion projects, because I know sometimes around this time of summer, you can start to maybe get a little bit bored. I don't know about you, but definitely for me. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this week's episode, please be sure to share it with a friend, or say, hey, I found this episode really useful. Or you can even use this as a way to get started back into some friendships and be like, hey, listen to this episode and I was like thinking about you, like want to get coffee or something. So yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in another amazing episode of Teen Talk Central. Bye guys.